White bricks. White bricks.
Holiday. Jew-Man. Welcome everybody to Behind the Bash, Hot 107.9 Radio 1. Man, excited about this podcast. We did a quick teaser, but if you missed the premise of this podcast, there are going to be three of us on this podcast. My name is Devin Steele. I'm the program director of Hot 107.9 here in Atlanta. Also, actually direct the Birthday Bash show. I've got 3 under my belt since I've been here, and I'm excited about this year.
My name is Gil Jones. I'm the director of marketing promotions for Radio 1 Atlanta. I was capping last time. I think I said 8, but I got 7. This will be 7. My 7th birthday bash. Yeah.
Well, I'm Beyonce Aloysius. I do the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, and I am Mrs. Birthday Bash.
You are.
I will say, gosh, I don't want to tell my age, but this might be like my 25th birthday bash. I've only missed 3.
Jeez.
So
man.
I missed the first 3.
Great.
My first birthday bash was Birthday Bash 4. I kind of stopped counting after
That
that.
makes you 64, 65.
I started in high school, so we're not counting age. I was like 16, 17 at my first birthday
come on,
bash, so
man.
let's not do that, please. Thank you.
We were joking. We actually said you were born at Birthday Bash.
Right. We did say that.
Last week.
I mean, my first son was damn near born at Birthday Bash, so yes.
Wow.
But yeah, no.
Well, I mean, you could probably do the math and figure it out. It may have been Birthday Bash babies.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
most definitely. Most definitely.
There are Birthday Bash babies.
Yeah.
There's plenty of
Definitely.
Birthday Bash babies.
Definitely.
No doubt about it. I mean, Birthday Bash is an institution in the city. And one of the things I think we talked about in a lot of the feedback we've gotten, I know, just kind of give you a background. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I've been here almost 3 years, but I have a long, history with Atlanta, being, the little cousin down the street in Memphis. And done radio. I'm a DJ. I've been spinning records for over 30 years in every club, every Memphis artist. Responsible for breaking a lot of those and exposing a lot of those to radio. I've been a huge cheerleader for the city. But I love Atlanta and happy that my family and I are here. And this job, this position is a very, very important job for the culture, not just for radio, but for hip hop and for music in general. It's one of the most important, one of the most, a lot of responsibility comes with this job, and outside of a couple other markets, with Atlanta being market number 7 this month. I think it was 6 last month. It bounces back and forth with Houston. It's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of artists, there's a lot of producers, there's a lot of great music that's come from the city. So that's, kind of like, my position and kind of where I fit in, to the Birthday Bash picture. But it's so important to the city is everybody's watched from afar, and I've been an outsider. You know what I mean?
What did you think when you walked into your first Birthday Bash? Like, it was
and y'all know, like, I've done summer jams, and we did our own Birthday Bash. I did it with Gotti and CMG and Tidal, and I did it with my former employer. We did it with a very small budget, kind of the same thing. Ended up doing a partnership with Tidal and with Gotti, where he would, and he absorbed it as his Birthday Bash and the radio station. So we would do it either the day before Atlanta or the day after. So we would bounce a lot of artists back and forth, like a lot of people do. Gil and I get these phone calls all the time. Man, when's your Birthday Bash? Because we're going to do ours the day after. But I think everything in a market, the bigger the size, the bigger the market, the bigger the city, everything is magnified.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's magnified, and that's what I love about it.
And so are the problems, like artists getting stuck on runways and you waiting until, they can take off and hit the stage. I mean, it's,
No problems, Gil, right?
Listen, man. That's all I deal with is problems. But, no problem that's too big that we can't resolve. Everybody knows when we're doing a concert, the day of the show is all about resolution and solving the problems. No matter how big or small they are. Figuring it out and making sure that, keep in mind, nobody knows or cares what the hell is going on backstage.
That's right.
They don't care. It's all about, what product you put on that stage. And, so yeah, that's what we do. And part of the job is, doing all the prior work to it, and then just dealing with the obstacles you have the day of.
Yeah, it's a year-long job, really, for the 3 of us. I mean, a lot of people confide in us. And we're one of the only companies that puts, like, we produce this whole show together. I mean,
Correct.
We're talking about that. We outsource video and sound, but very much, like, we design the stage. Like, Gil, last year you were like, "Yo, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about that?" You know what I mean? Like, it is a very unique concert in the grand scheme of what's going on right now.
And shout out to you. Last year was probably one of my favorite stage setups. I thought it
thank you,
looked
Beyonce.
amazing.
It was dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really did.
We actually argued.
Yeah,
we We didn't argue about it. But
Not argue. It was a lot going on. Let's keep in mind that, you have a budget, right? And then you're like, well, that's what I get for my money.
Yeah.
I need more. You know what I'm saying?
amazing.
So it's always fighting. And let me not say fighting, but you're always figuring out where you can pull money from.
Pushing
So
it.
I might, you might pull money from 5,000 from here and another 10,000 from here, and then you might put that money towards your stage and lighting, because I feel like that's probably the most important thing of the show is. When they first walk in, what does it look like? How does it brighten up the arena? We purposely don't use the Jumbotron because we want to have a dark feel in there. So staging is like super important. And I can tell you now, I didn't go, but my wife went to some other people's concerts in the market, and staging is not as important to them. But it's very important to us. What you see and hear and visualize and how it looks is probably the most important thing that we focus on.
Yeah. Beyonce, what did your first birthday bash look like? You remember who was on the show? Like, what is it like? Describe what it looked like. What year was it? And I'm not, listen, this is a safe zone. You know what I mean? I turned 50 this past year. No shame in my game.
Wait, but you said,
You know what I
so
mean?
you weren't there for the first one.
No, that was a Variety Playhouse.
Variety,
I was just
right.
talking to Ryan Cameron about that because he was there.
Okay.
And he was saying that we need to do like some kind of
No,
pre-show.
we need to
Yeah,
get,
'cause-
listen, Ryan is a,
Yeah.
he's my encyclopedia for anything Atlanta. And I'm not,
He
listen,
is.
that's my guy. You know what I mean? But it's just like, he has so many
Stories.
amazing stories. Like Ludacris was up here yesterday, and he just, everybody clicked into Luda mode. You know what I mean? Like with Luda stories.
All right. Who was the headliner for the first one?
Oh, man. I think because people don't realize, when we first started doing this, we would get a lot of artists on promo.
Right.
Obviously, that has changed now because there's so many people doing shows. And it was I want to say it was the Big Timers. And
No,
we
it
had,
wasn't. I know who it was.
Who was it?
The first headliner?
Oh, you're talking about the very first-
I'm
she's talking about her.
my
You're talking about
your first time. Okay,
but
got
it
you,
was,
got
it was
you.
Biggie, I
It was
believe.
Biggie.
It was
Biggie,
Biggie.
Craig
Biggie
Mack,
Smalls.
Biggie,
Biggie,
Craig Mack.
and we were at the Variety
Yeah.
Playhouse because I was, I think it was 95. Yeah.
Yep.
My first one was 98, 99. And I was a junior in high school, and we went, and I was an intern. I was on the bomb squad, so we had to hang up the
Wow.
banners and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then we
Yeah.
had like a whole bomb squad intern step team. But Maya was on stage, and it was probably, I don't know who thought of this, but Maya was on stage, and it was at Lakewood Amphitheater, and we were outside, and you could hear her get booed all the way at the
Wow.
front
Really?
gate. We were at the broadcast with Ludacris, a.k.a. Chris Lova and Poon Daddy.
Right.
And they were broadcasting live, and we were sitting there at the broadcast table, and you just heard her get boo. And but that's because Birthday Bash is so Atlanta. Like they're
Correct.
I can't remember who she came out. It might have been Hitman Sammy Sam or somebody, but it was somebody like very Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
came on with an R&B performance.
Yeah.
And it did not go well.
Yeah, so Atlanta and so hip hop. I can see them being like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
nah.
and we
You're
were
too slow for us.
outside.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was later on in the show.
Yeah.
And it was just really slow, and we were like, oh man.
Yeah.
So that was
Wow.
a moment.
But
that was a Lakewood show.
That was a Lakewood show.
And that was, we were talking about this off the podcast, but Cash Money, we're doing a lot of shows in. And one of the things that I can say about Baby and Slim, and I've known Baby and Slim for a long time, right, since BG's first album was out, networking myself when I was in college in New Orleans, you know what I mean? And I remember the first BG album and being in New Orleans, like, you be in a club, they played the whole album. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I met Baby and Slim then, but they would, then it would be, I think the first time I did a Cash Money show at Denim and Diamonds at a club, and this
Oh my
is a club
gosh.
that had 3,000, 4,000 people. It was, hey bro, just give us $500 for the bus.
Wow.
Because Baby and Slim already had crazy independent money. And that's when Juvenile 400 Degrees and the two Big Timers albums were out. So that was an amazing time. For them to headline Birthday Bash, man, I know that was crazy.
We paid them $10,000, and it was such a big deal.
That's crazy.
And we had the whole. I remember because Mary Catherine, she wrote the check for $10,000, and it was a big deal because they were like, why are we paying them $10,000? And then when they played like Everybody Get Your Roll On, and like Lakewood was just insane.
Wow.
And that's why people like love Lakewood because everybody be on the grass smoking underneath
Yeah.
the stars and but that was just like the place to be, and it was just
Right.
Well,
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I hate Lakewood. So
Well,
It's a tough setup.
As a producer of a show, you hate Lakewood.
I hate Lakewood.
But as a fan,
I get it.
Lakewood was
I
amazing.
get it.
So
I get it.
Lakewood last year is where they did the ATL 50
Correct.
last, and we were just walking around picking it apart.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
I'm sorry, we were
yeah.
walking around enjoying ourselves.
I mean, I understand the outside atmosphere is no other.
Oh,
you know
hell.
what I'm saying? It's good, but producing the show is very, very what's
hard.
the word? It's hard. It's hard to get. I mean, it's one way in, one way out.
so do you think it's because it's outside, it's hard to keep people engaged? You think that's what it is?
No,
Or
I
you
think the audience is fine. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
hot,
I think
it
it's gotten hotter. I feel like it's gotten
It's
hotter in the
gotten way
last
hotter.
25
Of
years.
course, I mean,
global warming is a thing.
facts.
It is a thing, and I think we do our show in June. I mean, literally, it's probably the hottest month of the year. And for example, we've done it outside. Like we did it outside for 25,
26.
26. No, 26 because 25 we were in COVID. But we did it outside, and I was getting complaints about it being outside. I think the Atlanta mentality has changed a lot. Where it's like, yo, I want to.
People want to dress
I
up.
want to dress up. I
Yeah.
want to have my good shit on,
Gucci
man.
getting sweaty,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't want to be in those sneakers getting sweaty.
Yeah.
So I love the outside. I mean, I think being outside for 26, which was really our 25 celebration, it was amazing. It was epic. But I think really Atlanta was like, all right, we did that once. Go back inside.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. We've talked about this. I mean, our friends in retail have told us that when Birthday Bash was outside, local retail, like our people at Lennox and folks and Phipps, they were like we're suffering that weekend.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a millions and millions of dollars that take place within the retail vibe with us being inside.
Things you don't think about.
They see the difference from us being inside and outside. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of dope that Birthday Bash not only is it a celebration of hip hop, but it's also an economic stimulus. You know what I'm saying? Like we bring money to the city. You know what I'm saying? So that's always a good vibe.
What was your first? I mean, for your first Birthday Bash, Gil, what was your first? I mean, was it an adrenaline rush for you the first time? And you had seen it before.
Yeah, it's so
you do
funny
radio
because
from
my
Savannah.
first one was in 2017. I was hired, but I wasn't announced yet.
Yeah.
So I was actually in the stands, and I remember seeing Beyonce on stage right, and they had put me like in the section with like personalities and their families and things.
Yeah.
But I know who they are because I've done my research. Nobody knows who I am. I'm
Right,
just
right.
chilling, just looking. And that was the year that it was the pop-up edition. I want to say 2 Chainz headline, but 2 Chainz brought out Wayne and Nicki.
Wow.
And it was, it was so massive. First, I was like scared out of my mind because I was like, oh shit, this is mine next year. I was scared as shit, but it was massive, man, just to kind of see them kind of pop up out the stage or whatever. And then my first one I put on was actually at Lakewood because State Farm was being renovated. So it was at Lakewood. Man, listen, great show. Shit show backstage. Oh my God. Listen, that's a whole nother story.
That's a
Let me just
whole
say,
podcast.
Is this the year of the golf cart
golf
accident?
carts flipped
Okay,
over.
we got you definitely got to get to that one
I
in
had
a couple
artists that
episodes.
came to the gate wouldn't come in because
Going up that hill was a whole podcast.
But it was. I learned a lot. 2017. That was 2018. After 2018, all the rest of them been kind of easy because 2018
Was that
was so hard.
2018?
So 2018, yeah, it was. Yeah, 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, so 28
Young
after
Thug.
2018, yeah, it was
YFN
easier.
Lucci.
YFN was the artist that wouldn't come in.
Migos. It was.
Yeah, it was a lot going on that year.
Yeah,
You
we
know what I'm
definitely
saying?
got to talk about
Yeah,
that.
that's a whole
whole
episode
podcast
by
in
itself.
itself.
That's a whole
2018
episode.
itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to shout out to everybody that's been a part of Birthday Bash. Since I've been here, from techs to riggers, folks that are up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Most
What I mean,
definitely.
flying speakers,
Yeah.
audio people, video people. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people, security. There's a lot of things that go on, and I've seen it all. Being backstage. Fortunately, these past 3 years, I've been front of house, so directing the show. So a lot of things that happen backstage that I don't.
Oh, you
see.
won't be this year though.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about that too. But it is a real testimony to. We were talking about it during our teaser, to real relationships. You know what I mean? Like, people get. It's like a basketball game or a basketball team. You got 15 people, but you have another 10 staff, and people get heated in the heat of battle. You know what I mean? But it really it tests your friendships and your relationships.
Most definitely.
A lot of times when it comes to artists, when it comes to managers, when it comes to labels. But that's the beautiful thing about this business is it's all reciprocal. It all comes back around. We had Famous Sally and YB here today, which everybody knows their song. It had 4.3 billion streams. And the first thing they said out of their mouth when they walked in the door is, "Are we doing birthday bash this year?"
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like they're about
And then
to,
what was the second thing they said?
what's up?
What was the second thing they said?
Like, please don't put me at 7 o'clock.
Oh my
You
God.
know,
We already have
Podcast number 6.
Right, exactly.
right. So, but you know, it's just it's such an institution. And I asked YB. I was like, "Hey, how many birthday bashes you went to?" She said every year.
Wow.
She said all of them.
Right.
All of them.
Right.
She said we go get our outfits, and I've been to every single one of them.
It's a culture thing.
It is.
Like growing up in Atlanta, like birthday, and that was, people don't understand, like people buy tickets and, you know, we've had different program directors come in and or different people with staff and whatnot. And they're always like, well, we got to announce the artist or we got to announce. You don't have to announce the artist. I mean, you can just, people are going to buy their tickets regardless because they know that number one, Birthday Bash is always going to be a great show.
Right.
But then even we could give you a list of 10 names, but there's probably going to be about 30 people that end up performing and showing up.
Correct.
Because it's all about the surprises.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Well,
And shit, sometimes we surprised.
it's
very
I
surprised.
mean, last year, literally,
yeah.
Surprise.
I was like, yo, who was on stage? And they were like, T.I. I was like, where the hell that came from? Oh, Beyonce and Devin on the microphones, on the ears, making decisions. I'm like, oh, okay. You know,
Well,
so it happens.
So the T.I. story last year, and I'm just going to give you, I mean, shout out to Tip. Love
Shout
Tip.
out to Tip.
You know what I mean? Love Tip. And it was one of those things we had been trying to talk to Tip last year was the 50 years of hip hop.
Correct.
And we just could not nail it down.
Right.
You know what I mean? He never really gave us a definite answer. You know, it was some missed phone calls and texts and that kind of thing. But literally, he got a call, right? Well, Beyonce, you could tell what happened because you were there. I mean, both y'all can tell what happened. I just heard it on the earphones. I walked back there and I saw him on stage and I kind of looked at him and gave him this what the fuck look. You know what I mean? He was like, "Hey, man, you know, I'm here."
Right.
His son wanted to come to the show and ended up going backstage, ended up at the gate backstage.
Yeah, he was.
We're talking
he
about
was-
King, right?
King.
Yeah, so
King.
King was outside. Security comes to me and says, yo, T.I. son is outside. And as you know, if we're talking about this is the meat of the show, so we're running around, and I'm like,
Yeah.
listen,
It's like 8 o'clock.
I love King, I love Tip, but I can't deal with this right now. I
Yeah.
got to get whoever it was on stage and whoever
You were dealing with
whoever's
21 and
after
J.
that,
Cole and all
getting
that.
them queued up, and I'm like, I can't deal with it right now. So you know how police are? They're like, nah, you can't get in. And then
There's no, it's no chill.
There's no
gray
chill.
area.
They're like, yo, we got
Especially
to clean.
last year.
Yeah, we got to clean backstage, and we trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
And his response was, "Don't worry about it. I'm about to call my dad." So like, okay. And my response was, "Well, if T.I. show up, let him in." That's what I told security, and I left it alone.
Right.
I was on to a million other things, and T.I. came, and like I told, they let him in, and.
Right.
It goes from me to Beyonce. So I don't know what happened after that. So
what was the conversation? I mean, did he walk up and like, "Hey, B, what's up? Was he was in a great mood, you know?"
I went backstage because we were having an issue with the baby. And he had walked in with his fire suit and his dancers.
Right.
And like we were trying to get the baby to the stage, but he was changing his outfit. Well, T.I. was in the hallway and he was talking to Keenan at Interscope. And then I'm sitting here trying to get the baby on, and T.I. is like, I mean, you know, what's up? Hey, what you doing? I'm like, trying to get him on stage. And he's like, I was like, you want to stall? And he's like, I mean, you know, I could, but I mean, you know.
It was no real. It was just a roundabout ass conversation.
It was a very T.I., you know,
Right,
like
exactly.
T.I. be having those hypothetical. I mean, perhaps. And, you know, and when you're in the middle of two artists performing, every minute counts.
Yeah.
Like you're
Most
sitting
definitely.
there, you're sitting there like, okay. I mean, if you perform, you need to go on like right this second.
Right.
So I hit Jelian, I believe, and I was like, yo, get some T.I. music ready in case. And so, I mean, Keenan will tell you, we were just sitting there and it was like a very roundabout conversation. So then I just grabbed him. I'm like, Tip's going on stage. And I guess he just kind of wanted that extra push to like, you know, come
Yeah.
on. So we got to the stage. King came with him. Ja had the music ready. And we told, who was it? I want to say Jay Nix. Yeah, it was Jay Nix, and I said, "Yo, he's." I told you first. I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, is it cool?" And you were like, "Yeah, run it."
Right.
And so he came on and he performed, and it was a moment.
it was definitely a moment.
I'll tell you
Shout
what.
out to Tip for that one. That was a moment.
shout out to Jalion because that was the most professional, impromptu ass.
It
Yo,
was.
you could not tell me that Ja didn't have his set list.
I did not.
That was.
They were just
it was
going.
nice.
Tip just said, "Hey man, just play whatever you got. We're gonna go with it." And Ja just hit him and hit
He
him.
was
hit him.
just running them and didn't stop.
Wow.
Nah, it was amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's
That's a testament to Tip and his professionalism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And him knowing his records and
King-
being able to perform. And Ja Lion
Yeah.
being a dope ass DJ.
Yeah.
And knowing how to transition.
Man,
and, you
Johnny
know,
on the spot.
Yeah, seriously.
And
seriously.
the thing is even the way he had it programmed, like every record was hotter than the next record,
Yeah.
like you would want to do for a show.
Right.
And it kind of gave that vibe. Something else was interesting last year, since we're talking about last year, is the three of us, our communication is, you know what I mean, like bond. Like we have to be able to talk to one another. Now, we talk about this show. We probably spend, 50 hours collectively over the month when we know who's on the show, going through the show and talking about it. Minute by minute, it's all set up, how everything triggers when videos go, who's coming on stage, that kind of thing. But last year, we did the show by text message because we just clearly did not have any communication with our headphones.
No.
Last year with our comms.
And this is during the actual birthday bash show.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So,
we were-
man, I swear, man, we had the worst luck with communication on Birthday Bash when it comes to comms, man. So we paid, honestly, we paid for comms.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, comms are headsets,
Yeah, headsets and
basically
walkies and things of
walkie-talkies,
nature. Right.
so that Devin, who's calling the show, can communicate with.
Well, and then Gil says, hey, Cardi just pulled up and I'm sending her to you, Beyonce. And Beyonce says, hold on a second. And Gil's like, I'm going to figure out how to get her in the dressing room
Correct.
back here. So we
Yeah.
just kind of know what's going on, who's there, so we know we need to slow down, speed up.
Right.
Stall, find a multi-platinum artist to hit the stage and do 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you can't call somebody and hear each other because you can't hear. So like
That's
we're
right.
literally trying to text back and forth.
That didn't really work. And then this is a testament to the team, though. Like, so we paid for comms. We should have known something was wrong because when we got to the arena, comms weren't even there. They were like, oh,
Yeah.
they're on their way. And usually we get comms 24 hours
That's
because
right.
we would plug them up ourselves, charge them, but we didn't have them. And so when they got there, we realized, like, first thing, there wasn't over-ear pieces, which we like. We want to be something over our ear, microphone to your mouth.
Man.
So they were the wireless cuff to your collar. So that's not going to work in a loud arena.
Right.
Then half of them wasn't charged. Another third of them just didn't work. It was a mess.
Right.
And really, when I say, man, it became so. I thank God that I had hired Jay Chris, who was
Yep.
our new promotion director for Hot, because I didn't have to stay at the door.
Got it.
He was there at the door, and so I just became a walkie-talkie. Seriously. So I
Yeah.
was like, all right, I'm gonna go to artist dressing room, let my staff know they're needing 15 minutes, run back to the stage, let Beyonce know that this artist is ready. We got them in 15 minutes. We're gonna run them to the media room and they're gonna be ready. And I'm literally that was my lap. I'm
Yeah.
just lapping. I'm just being the radio between Beyonce, the artist, and our staff. Because
Right.
keep in mind, you're in your dressing room, from dressing room, from media room to stage.
Right.
So then I'm letting WeSo know, who's in charge of our digital. Hey, I have so and so coming up next. Like literally, and that's
A
what
big circle.
Yeah, and that's what my route
Right.
was.
What were
Like,
your steps like last year?
Oh man, I didn't even have my Apple Watch on me. I was like, I know I got at least 6-7 miles in, at least.
Yeah, you had to.
And
Not as many as Center Park, though.
no, nowhere near.
Oh,
nowhere
my
near.
God.
But that's what happened. Like we didn't have communication as well.
We were
Once
throwing,
again,
like-
audience, they would have never known.
Yeah.
Because the show didn't affect the show. It just now we know we have to kind of step in and go a little bit harder. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And that's what happened. And it worked itself out. I know at one point I was like, yo, Cardi's outside. By the time I got to the stage, Beyonce was gone. So I'm like, shit, where's Beyonce? They like, oh, Beyonce's already outside with Cardi. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I think we were waiting on us. It was just, yeah, but we made it work. We definitely made
We
it
were
work as a team.
throwing signs, like trying to. We were like,
Yeah,
"Hey, go
like,
get baby."
Right. Go get the baby, So, but yeah, it worked itself out, man. And like I said, we won't have that problem this year.
Yeah.
We're investing in our own communications.
Finally,
Yeah, we're buying our
Hey.
own concert
Charge 'em
comms.
up.
We buying our own stuff, so we know what we have and we're ready. Day of show.
That was really a huge challenge, especially for me being 150, feet away. And there's a lot of 150 yards away. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of people involved. Like, we went back something we did that I really love that we're going to do this year too is our digital team. Shout out to Weso again and everybody. We made an edit, a very loose edit of Birthday Bash, and we showed it back for our staff and artists and label friends, and it was amazing.
That was so much fun.
It was a great night. You know, it was a little long. I think we can condense it to like an hour and a half, just almost like a
Yeah, we're
best
gonna do a super edit next time.
a super edit, and then the audio, make the audio better. But it was really cool. But for me, you know, I got a chance to go and really see the show and things that I missed, because a lot of times my brain is somewhere different. I don't really see it. But I say that to say, like, Beyonce, what's been in all your years of Birthday Bash, like, what has been your biggest 911 emergency?
T.I. and Little Flip.
I mean, you really thought like it was going to be like
I did.
It was going down.
Oh,
right?
well, can I name 3 quick?
And that's a show in itself too. We got to get Tip up here to talk about it. Like,
Most def.
In 2004, I don't know what number that was, but it might have been like 7 or 8. It was at Lakewood. Little Flip was our headliner because, you know, I mean, Little Flip was kind of popping that summer.
Little Flip's like went from Texas fame to an international superstar within about 6 months. That album was
International?
crazy.
We paid him.
Yeah, people were fucking with dude.
National.
Like,
No, I'm just playing. I'm from
okay.
Georgia. I'm
When
Atlanta.
you talk about check stuff-
I'm still on T.I. side. You know what I'm saying?
We
No, I'm
paid
just
him
playing.
$50,000. I remember that.
Wow. You
paid
It
Flip
was-
50K?
We paid 50.
Okay.
I remember that. It was a big deal how we
That's a
talked
nice.
about it.
That's a nice little
That's-
share.
Especially
Yeah.
when we went from not paying nobody nothing.
You're right.
Tip goes on the artist before him. And I remember they had this whole plan. You know, they had a big little flip chair, like a throne chair that was supposed to come out after Tip got off. Tip goes on stage. He's wrapping up his time. I'm standing right here on the side of the stage. It was Meet and somebody else. And his song was over. All of a sudden, we hear his DJ hit an explosion. Then Tip goes on his freestyle, the epic freestyle heard around the world. And we're sitting here like, Flip is backstage at the back, because, you know, you got to separate them.
Right,
So Flip is
right.
at the door to the stage. And, like, they're trying to hold him from coming on the stage because Tip is supposed to go this way so that way he leaves the venue
right.
and Flip comes on.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Well, Tip doesn't leave the stage. Tip goes on the freestyle. And we're sitting here like, well, we can't cut the mics. What do we do?
Right.
So, I mean, it went so hard. And there was no way that you could bring Little Flip on after this. We all just huddled up within like that 60 seconds. It was like, you can't do it. You cannot bring Little Flip on. I mean, you know, we were trying to prevent fights, shootings, everything else. And so we canceled the rest of the show.
Wow.
We called it off. Like,
Yeah.
Really?
We turned off the lights to Lakewood, and that was it.
And send everybody home.
You know, I ain't gonna lie
Everybody
to you.
else.
That was smart. That was smart.
And he was 50,000 to the good, and then he had to perform.
I don't know that side. That wasn't my lane.
You don't get a refund on that, I don't think.
Oh, nah. Well, you know, it's so crazy because you probably already paid a deposit, but you probably didn't pay him his back end.
Yeah.
That had to been hard.
I don't know how they handled that side, but I
Yeah.
just know that people were like, "Oh my God!" They were upset, but then they understood. But
Yeah.
like the lights at Lakewood went out,
Wow.
That's crazy.
and so they were like, "What do we do?" And just tell him thank you.
That's
He
crazy.
didn't have to work for it.
Gil, since you've been here, what's been your biggest 911 story for Birthday Bash?
So my biggest 911, I think we talked about it before, was Yo Gil, golf cart has flipped over. There's an artist and 2 of his security guys on it, and we need to call the ambulance because one guy can't get up, other guy is bleeding. And I remember getting a call because it was so crazy because I was walking up the ramp as they were coming down. And I remember just being like, what the fuck? Now keep in mind, this is my first birthday bash that I'm actually working.
Right.
And that was just like, what the hell are we gonna do? So I remember being on comms. The program director at the time was Hurricane Dave, and I'm like, "Yo, Dave, get off the stage and come, cause this is crazy." And then the marketing director at the time was Lori, so I hit up Lori like, "Yo, everybody, please meet me at this ramp," you know. And of course, we got the police and the ambulance, and that was the. It's so crazy because that was just crazy.
Yeah.
And like the artist at that time still wanted to perform, you know. Because that's what a birthday bash meant. It was like his city. He wanted to perform. And just trying to navigate that, you know. But it's so crazy because that was the worst moment. But that show, that was the biggest pop I've ever heard in a show. So that was the same year that Cardi came out pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Oh
okay.
yeah.
And I remember being outside of Lakewood. Like I don't know what I was doing outside of it. I was doing something.
You would have thought somebody hit a home run.
Oh,
like,
I
was
still
insane.
at all my birthday bashes, I still have not heard that it was. That's you think Cardi was.
yeah.
I mean,
Megastar.
Megastar.
And she is now, but I'm saying it
no,
was
but the
just-
start of her megastar.
Right.
She was still a megastar, but she was at the start of it.
And then she was pregnant also.
She was pregnant also.
Pregnant.
So they didn't think she was gonna come.
Yeah.
The Migos weren't, remember, because the Migos was a pop out. So
Yeah.
they weren't supposed to be there either. And so they pop out, and then Cardi pops out. Oh my God! So it's crazy because that was my worst 911 moment, but it's still the biggest chill moment I've ever had.
So it
at a
kinda
birthday
offset-
bash. Yeah, it did. It really did.
Mama. It kind of made the whole situation better. It
Yeah.
kind of offset itself with the positive.
Yeah, most definitely.
With the Cardi B. Wow.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I mean, I've only been here 3 years, but we've had a couple of 911 situations. I mean, we're gonna.
Have we?
I mean, I think there's a couple of situations that. I mean, on the outside looking in, we did get a lot of questions year before last about and we're gonna have the Gunner show too. You know what I mean? And to have to talk about it on a podcast because as much as we thought that he was gonna make bond twice. And they kept telling us to just hold on, on, and that was Gunner's year. You know what I mean? And then shout out to his whole team for, their PR. I mean, they're his folks and his whole team around him are amazing. You know what I mean? That we tried to hold on and we tried to hold on, and as many people calling and telling us like, man, y'all better pull that off the radio. Y'all better pull that off. Y'all better pull that off. You know what I mean? And
That was a tough decision.
we stuck and stayed, and then it was a very hard show too because
that was a bad year.
and some good things came out of it too. But then you also had. The whole, sitting at dinner the Friday night before birthday bash with all of our friends and coworkers from around the country, and some of them for record label friends. And I was at Little Alley Steakhouse, like 30 of us eating, and it's like my phone went off, and everybody's phone started going off. I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Yep.
And it was basically a picture of Kodak Black being locked up for having.
Right, and that was the same year that
That
we
was
were
the
trying
same
to
year.
get Gunner the
That was the
headline.
same
Right,
year.
that was a tough
They
year.
called it Rice Street Birthday Bash.
They did. They did.
Yeah, and it was it was tough,
Yeah.
because the thing is like what people don't realize is at the moment, Kodak he got released later and his whole team was here. They flew private here.
Yeah.
We got him from the airport. I mean, we sound checked. His video team was here. His dancers were here. His DJ was
manager
here.
was
His
here.
road manager was here.
The whole label was here.
And,
the head of the label was here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Head of the label
Yeah.
was here, and they were just waiting on him to get released and to fly private to be a birthday bash. And
The
I
jet
remember,
was on the runway.
well, the jet can be on the runway all they want, but
Was it?
Apparently there might be a story that I didn't know about. But
was
I
it?
don't. I mean, I don't. I don't know
Allegedly.
because we can only control what we were being told. But I do. I do know that afternoon in blazing hot heat at Center Park Stadium, his 14-year-old road manager and his DJ and his
They were there.
his video guy and
They
all
were
his
there.
dancers.
They
Everybody
were
was
in
there.
the trailer
Yeah,
eating
Yeah, no doubt.
the food and drinking the drink. They
Yeah.
were there
that
already.
you went and got.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah, you
there
went.
ready. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was kind of a 911 moment, but at the same time, we got through, and I mean, you know what I mean? Like people stepped up and showed the hell out that year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We
They
had
did.
we
They
had
did.
a great tribute to the futuristic movement.
Yeah.
That year to Atlanta, and that's one thing that I love. And that's you would ask me, Beyonce, what is it? Birthday bash means so many different things to different people, and it's like, birthday bash is very sacred. You know what I mean? And I do think about that, like in everything that I do. And jokingly, I do ask y'all, there's a lot of things I don't know about Atlanta. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's a lot of stuff and things I do.
Yeah.
But I always ask, like, we got to make sure it is because it's for the city.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean? It's for the city. It's not a festival, that we charge them $600 for tickets and we expect 40,000 people over 3 days.
Right.
I mean, it is for the city, and this is, it's everybody's Super Bowl.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct. And it's for this. It is for the city, but the brand is so much bigger than the city.
Yeah.
So it's like we make sure that a lot of times you can be successful and you forget about the core. And that's one thing that we're never gonna do, and that
Yeah.
we don't. We always gonna remember.
You mean we won't put Jennifer Lopez on the show?
Yeah, we're not doing
No.
that. This is an Atlanta show. You know what I'm
It's a-
saying? This is.
and-
Go ahead, B.
No.
No, go ahead. It's for Atlanta. That's all I want to say. It's for
for-
Atlanta.
I'm just co-signing. It's
So
for
even though labels call from all over the country, artists call from all over the country, they're always trying to figure out a way to put more R&B on or do this. We're like, nah, this is what Birthday Bash is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's other avenues for those artists, and we appreciate it, and we play them and all that stuff. But Birthday Bash is for the city. It's for that core Hot 107.9 listener.
Yeah.
And we always want them to leave satisfied.
Who's one artist that y'all wish would have blessed the Birthday Bash stage that's not here currently, or that one wish list artist to hit Birthday Bash?
So mine, it's so crazy because I don't even know if he has done Birthday Bash, but he hasn't done it since I've been here. And I really, really wish he could hit that stage, man. And that would be Dolph. Like, man, like we had a chance to put him on. It's my biggest regret.
Yep.
Is that we didn't pull the trigger because we kept saying, "Oh, well, now we're gonna put him on next year. It's gonna be dope next year," and we didn't get the opportunity, man. But Dolph records always ring off. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, Beyonce. Have you ever had Dolph on Birthday Bash?
I feel like we have.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Well, since I've been here, that's the one I wish that we could have had on the
But
stage.
not in a capacity where he was the 1 or 2 or 3 slots.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that, to your point, Gil, we've talked about this a lot. My relationship with Dolph was, Dolph was a friend of mine, you know what I mean? From early on, from a long time. And I've been a supporter and a fan, and I've been a friend of his too. And I think one of the things that stopped us from doing it is, shout out to Motown and Jay Carter, was he did one music fest with the live band.
Right.
And I opened up, I DJ'd before him.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rocksteady, his whole, a lot of the guys on his staff and that roll with him are like my family. You know what I mean? Like I've known these guys that I've worked with, guys that I've been at clubs with. So it's like, that would have been an epic moment to have him, you know what I mean, on the show. And I really feel like, man, that year before would have been his year.
His year. Yep.
To really do it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be a good one too.
Yeah.
I would have been, somebody that's not here as well that I thought would have been dope on Birthday Bash, like, man, Nipsey Hussle on Birthday Bash.
Oh my God. He was never on the show.
Yeah.
He would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But he was an artist who superseded every coast. Like he spoke, kind of like Dolph, you know what I mean? Like he talked to a lot of people, you know what I mean? And no matter, and when the things that he said and, kind of is where he came from was totally different.
Most definitely.
What about you, Beyonce?
Are we living?
I don't think
matter.
it did.
Yeah.
I'd say Kendrick.
Yeah.
Kendrick would be dope.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you, Dolph. The year that y'all wanted to do Dolph, would have probably been that would have been his year.
Yeah.
And I think Nipsey never did it, and I think he would have been epic too.
Yeah.
Like he had such. But there's been so many artists who have done it. It's hard to think of anybody. One of the only other people I can think of that hasn't done it is Kendrick.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like one of the the one that haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit may
Especially
have
at the
sailed.
big three now. They all done it but Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit may have sailed.
You said
That ship may have sailed. You know what I mean? Just because
he's way out of our
he's
budget
too
range.
far gone.
Right.
I'm just talking about
He would
kind of.
he had to be somebody's special guest, man.
Yeah.
I remember when
Yeah.
Kendrick had his first promo run and he was doing radio, and I jokingly said, "Man, I'm gonna get every drop I can." And he was like, "Damn, you got 4 pages, big dog."
You're
And I
right.
was like, "Well, I ain't never gonna see you on a radio
There
station
you
again in
go.
my life."
Yeah.
There you go.
Real talk. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I hate that it's that way.
Yeah.
I say that to say that artist relationships and labels and radio stations is totally different than it was when Birthday Bash first started. This changes constantly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's also a way for them to say, "Hey, man, we rock with y'all." But I think it also is a testimony to like where the future of Birthday Bash is going. Like, where do you want to see it go? Like, what's next for Birthday Bash? Like, what's that next level step we need to take for Birthday Bash to really take it? Like, it's one of the biggest radio shows. It's a cultural moment. We talk shit. Like,
For
you know
me,
what I mean?
I want to take it to 2 days. I want to do not a block party, but actually have a 2-day full concert, 2 days at State Farm Arena. I want to get to that point.
We're gonna have an IV for you. Like,
Right, facts.
both
Facts.
nights.
We're gonna die after. We're
God,
going to
don't
die.
Don't say that.
Oh no, we're going to die.
No.
No, we're going to die.
Don't say
Oh my
that.
God. I repeat
But
that.
Man, you're
I
not
would
gonna
love,
wood.
I would love
Shut
a
up.
2-day show. Maybe it incorporates one of those, incorporate a little bit less harder of music. You know what I'm saying? But like 2 days where it's like almost like I want to get to essence one day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To like, man, it's like that's all. The whole week is about Birthday Bash, all these different events
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
seminars and all this stuff, and it's
Yeah.
a 2-day concert with with awesome headliners. You know, I would say go to Mercedes-Benz, but acoustically, I probably would never want to do that. But yeah, we can do 2 days, which would be like 30,000 people within those 2 days. I think that'd be amazing.
Man, it would be awesome. I remember the year that y'all did, and you know, shout out to everybody who's put the show on before, and all the former program directors, to Dave, to everybody who's been involved. But I remember the year when it was like, all right, it's Birthday Bash. And I think it's here y'all had Heineken, and y'all had a double headline sponsor. I forgot who the other headline. Might Toyota, or was it?
Probably.
I think that might have been before me.
But
that might be. I definitely when Beyonce was here though.
But it kept growing. Like it was like, oh yes, Birthday Bash. Oh, we're doing the Jermaine. We're doing the So Duff.
You know what it is? Is what y'all did for 20. He's talking about what y'all did for 20.
It was 20. That's what it was.
Remember
we
y'all
did
did
the
the Tabernacle show.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're doing a throwback show the night before. Oh, we're doing. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, it was massive.
It was a 3-day weekend.
That was massive. I remember hearing about that in Savannah. Like, man, they have everything going on.
And then being in Memphis,
city.
I mean, that was like, damn, that's what I want to do one day. You know what I mean? That's dope. And I've done, like I said, I've done a lot of concerts. I've done my own concerts. I've done college game day with ESPN and football games, and I mean, massive events. But to do something like that, man, for the culture in a city like Atlanta, and that's really, I think that's one of the differences too. Like, there's so many people that love this shit in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like when you do it, like people come out.
Yeah.
Man. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And then people are very appreciative.
Yeah, definitely.
And say, man, thank you. Like, this was dope.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. You
Real
know what I mean?
Atlanta
So, but
supports.
what's the future of Birthday Bash for you? Like, where do you want to see it?
I mean, I agree with both y'all. In my personal opinion, I think One Music Fest is what Birthday Bash should have been, a weekend festival outside at the park, either, Centennial or Piedmont. I think that it could have really kind of taken over that space. I think that Motown and Jay Carter have done an amazing job at filling the gap with that. But I mean, I definitely think that there's enough music, especially when you spread it out through the year. And I think Birthday Bash is a big enough brand to where you could do 2 shows in one weekend. And just have 2 different genres, like R&B or old school, and then you still have the current one. Although the biggest thing that we fought with when we did those 2 shows is that nobody wanted to be on the throwback show, because it was like
they don't want that. They don't want that moniker. They don't want that. Yeah,
because I mean, you got to think our Frankie Beverly and Maze that our parents had when they were growing up. For us, is T.I., Jeezy, some of those people. I mean, FLY, like these songs are 15, 20 years old.
Yeah.
So technically, those are old, not want to say old because nobody wants to be considered old, but they're the throwbacks.
Right.
And that was one of the hardest things that we ran into when we did that show. And we were trying to have like a separation of what the Friday night show and what the Saturday night show was, because nobody, except for like, the people who took it in, like the Pastor Troys and the 8 Ball and JGs, wanted to do that Friday night show. Everybody wanted to be at State Farm on Saturday night. But I agree with you. I think that, it would be awesome to do like a 2-night show.
Most definitely.
I agree too. I mean, and to your point, Beyonce, I think there are enough artists to go around where you can stay out of each other's way. And the other thing is, like, we're talking about June traditionally, right? And then the other outdoor festivals that are here are usually October. But there's Midtown Music Festival, and there's other things, you know what I mean? But I think there's enough to go around, especially with, our company of radio stations. There's enough to be,
definitely
R&B artists that are mainstream that maybe people haven't had a chance to see. And you're talking about 15,000 people. In the grand scheme of things, it's not too crazy, you know what I mean?
Right.
To do a 2-day pass. But, for me, I think that people always ask me, and I think one of the things that we have to figure out, I'd love to be able to do after the fact, and it's kind of a gift and a curse. I would love to actually stream the show, but tape delay it, because when you start saying you're streaming something and you want people to pay for it, then it may affect how many people come to the show.
Correct.
No, I don't like watching shows in my living room. That's not my thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, I'd love to like chop it up, have our staff host in between the talent, do some some really backstage, done really artfully, you know what I mean? Artistically, where it's really dope to watch.
Definitely.
And then when it's played back, it's almost like, the best of kind of thing. But
you know who did a great job of that?
Who's that?
Beyonce's Netflix film.
I was about to say that
It did an amazing job.
you don't say that we're going to do it, but then after the fact, offer it for like, whatever.
Yeah, and it was dope. Get on it, Weso. You know what I'm saying? Weso. He's here, y'all. If you know, he's actually here.
I mean, Beyonce probably had 100 people working on it real time.
Weso is 100
what I
people.
mean?
Get on it, Weso.
So you need some help. But I mean, I think that would be dope. I mean, I think when you want to when you build these brands, you want to build brands, you have to figure out a way to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah, most
That's
definitely.
what you do. There's nothing more, it's cool after Birthday Bash. I mean, we, basically, I mean, on Twitter, people were going crazy. The Instagram, the video and the pictures.
Oh
were,
my God. I still think there's a video, I mean, I don't know where to say, and we still probably have to tell us. I think when the last time I looked, it was like 830,000 views. It might be I think it's at 1 million now.
Sexy Red?
No, it's Glorilla
Wow.
on there telling them, hey, have a hot girl summer. Don't let that nigga nut in you.
You're right.
Video.
I missed that
And
part.
I remember just because I got to get my account off a hot.
Right.
I'm like, what the? I mean, it's always getting hits.
You're right.
It's that's a whole another episode. We got to talk to our digital guy. Yeah, 4
4
million. I'm
million.
sorry.
Oh my
He just
God.
told us 4 million. We got to talk to our digital guy about how we do it, man. But we have to that video. I've never seen a
That is
birthday bash
so
video.
random.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to hear her say that shit.
Yeah,
in her
it was
Memphis.
just
Shout
no
out to
performance.
Frazier.
No nothing.
Shout out-
Just don't let that nigga nut in you. Have a hot girl summer. I done
Wow.
got rid of like 2 or 3 kids already, y'all.
Well,
I'm
you
like,
know what?
whoa, what the hell?
Well,
is
you know what?
going
On that note, Gil, that's a great way to
that's
end.
a great way to end the show.
That's a great way to end the first
Man.
episode. And listen, I know we were a little schizophrenic and all over the place.
We
but
were.
We're gonna be
that's
more.
the
We're gonna be
beautiful
more structured
right
from now on.
So
but,
we're
yeah.
lining some guests up, and I think our first guest is going to be New Face.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope.
It's going to be New Face.
Yeah.
New Face is a
Hip-hop
officially
historian.
unofficial Atlanta hip hop historian.
Yeah.
And a super nice guy. I know he had an activation at the Earwax pop up when they redid it. I'm glad they gave him that. I know he did some
Yeah.
stuff with ATL 50, which is amazing. But just a really great guy. And I think he showed me. I think he's been to almost every birthday bash. He still has like 90% of the ticket stubs.
Yeah, yeah.
Which we could make a T-shirt off that. Which would be
Most definitely.
a sub-laminated T-shirt with the ticket stubs on it. Psh, man, that'd be so dope.
That'd
I
be
don't want to
fly.
get about any idea. They're gonna be bootlegged out front.
Right.
In the
Oh
parking
shit,
lot.
they bootleg. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother
Man,
thing too.
look.
Oh my God.
We ain't gonna talk about merch. And,
Scammers.
The
Scammers.
fake backstage passes.
Right.
Man, that's a whole nother episode. So listen, spread the word. Make sure that you share this. Let's put our social out there. Beyonce, put your social out there if they want to follow.
I am Beyonce, ATL, BEYONCE, ATL on everything.
I am at the real Gil Jones. That's with 1 L, TheRealGilJones.
At Devin DEVIN _Steel STEEL. Use the underscore because some weirdo made a page for me with a picture of one of my kids. It was like super weird.
Wow.
Like,
They
put your kid up there?
Me and Ava when she was like a baby. And
Wow.
I'm like, wow, that's super weird. But
Yeah.
make sure that you follow, and we're gonna start a couple of hashtags surrounding this, and as we get up to Birthday Bash, we're gonna give you kind of some sneak peek insight stuff. We got a lot of dope guests lined up. I'm going to be talking about letting them share their experiences with Birthday Bash. And then we want you to share your Birthday Bash moments with us too.
Most
you know what I
definitely.
mean? So make
Most
sure you
definitely.
spread the word. The podcast is called, of course, Behind the Bash, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.